Welcome back, everybody, to the NECA Ultimate Archive Reviews. I am DK Guillotine, and in this episode, we will be doing the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 Freddy Krueger, which I will just spoil this right off the bat. This is my least favorite Ultimate figure of all time. If I had to choose a least favorite NECA Ultimate figure, it would be this one, and I will get into why. Don't worry, I will go in depth with it, because I love the shit out of this movie. It has nothing to do with my love of Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the movie, but this is, in my opinion, the weakest Ultimate NECA figure, period. So with that being said, and I mean, and that's not surprising since this was the very first Ultimate figure ever, but still, this is, in my opinion, the weakest one. But before we go into that, let's start off with the packaging, which I absolutely love. We have the original poster art for Nightmare on Elm Street, one of my favorite TV posters, one of my favorite movie posters of all time, with Nancy right there, and the glove creeping over Nightmare on Elm Street. Just a brilliant movie poster, one of my all-time favorites. A Nightmare on Elm Street, NECA Real Toys, Ultimate Freddy. On the back of the box, we have a bunch of obligatory product shots right there. Nice little bio right there. If you would like to read that, there you go. If it'll focus in, if it'll actually focus for you. There we go. So now you can read that. If you would like to, it shows you a bunch of things you can do with the, how you can display the figure. Same thing on the other side of Nightmare on Elm Street, NECA Real Toys, Ultimate Freddy. And if we open up the front flap, we have a nice picture of the figure right there. And this is where the figure would have sat, surrounded by all of these accessories. Now, before I bring out the figure, I need to say that I actually have misplaced one of this figure's accessories, one of his alternate heads. It's a head sculpt that I had never intended on ever using. However, I have misplaced it, so I don't have that to show in this review. I'll talk more about it in a second, but yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick. And here is the Part 1 Ultimate Freddy Krueger out of the packaging here, and let's just get right into it. So starting off with the head sculpt, you have the Part 1 head sculpt, which this is just going to get right into the things that I don't love about this figure. I don't particularly like Freddy Krueger's look in Part 1. It is probably my least favorite look. I don't like how the sleeves look without the stripes, and I don't like the way the head sculpt looks, and I don't like that the hands don't have any burn on them whatsoever. This look has never been my favorite look for Freddy Krueger, and that's one of the reasons why I actually prefer Part 3 over the original, is I much prefer Freddy Krueger in Part 3, and as the star of this franchise, the fact that I prefer the one in Part 3 should definitely say something about that. That being said, it's perfectly done. Like, this is a perfect representation of how Freddy does look in Part 1. This is identical to how he looks in Part 1, but there is a lot of problems with this look that just makes me not like this figure nearly as much as pretty much every other NECA Ultimate figure. Once again, the way this look in particular, just not being one of my favorites, is definitely one of the reasons, but another one of the reasons is the color of the actual sweater here. This sweater is so unbelievably dark, and it's from a distance, it is almost impossible to actually see the stripes in here. When you have this on a shelf and you look at it from a far distance, it really just looks like a red shirt, and that is not a good thing, because the striped shirt is an absolute essential part of Freddy Krueger, and because of the way the arms look and how dark the actual stripes are on the shirt itself, it really, from a distance, just you don't see the stripes, and that is something I've never been a fan of with this particular figure. Another thing, the way the shirt is sculpted here at the side makes it look like you have to have him posed in this kind of as if his glove is weighing him down to the side. And granted, while that is a really cool pose, it's like you have to have that like that, or this doesn't look right. Because if you have him just straight up with the shirt like that, it looks off, because the shirt is just riding up on this side. Now, it actually does like to kind of go into that pose that I was showing you. As you can see there, it really does like to just stay in that pose, which is probably why they sculpted it that way. But if you do want to have him just standing straight up, it looks super awkward. But that's pretty much all of the things to go over with the actual figure itself. The glove is phenomenally done. It's pretty much perfect. I think they did a great job on the glove. The top and the bottom look absolutely great, as you can see there. Really comes across. The color is really nice as well. They definitely got the blades right. The hand looks great. The other hand, also, like I said, I'm not a fan of the fact that the hand is just not burnt at all in the original, because, I mean, the guy was trapped in a building that burnt to the ground, and only his face and neck were burnt, that makes no sense to me. I much prefer when every part of Freddy is burned, because that just makes the most sense to me. But yeah, you get that as well. And the legs are perfectly done. I think the legs are great. I think they have used this same leg sculpt for all of the Ultimate Freddys, but I really do think it works pretty phenomenally. I mean, it is a very standard look, but the wrinkle work is great. So yeah, that is the figure itself. Now getting in on the accessories. So first off, I'm going to start off by talking about the accessory that I have misplaced, and that is his default kind of head like this. It's basically exactly the same as this head sculpt, which is from the Ultimate Part 2 Freddy Krueger, but it is just, you know, it's the Part 1 head sculpt, so it looks like this, but it has this kind of expression going on. And like I said, I have misplaced that accessory. I never liked it. I never used that head sculpt because I much prefer the smiling head sculpt for Freddy Krueger. I always prefer for Freddy Krueger to be smiling like this, so I always use this one. But you do get a head sculpt like this with this Part 1 Freddy Krueger. I've misplaced it. I looked everywhere for it, guys. I have been putting this video off because I haven't been able to find the head sculpt. I didn't want to make it without the head sculpt, but I just could not find it. So yeah, I'm just gonna show this real quick, but that is something you would have got with the figure if you bought it right now, if you were to buy it today. You get another head sculpt with this as well. You get this head sculpt from the scene when Tina rips the skin off of his face. He's like, ah! It is a very, very, very cool head sculpt. I do quite like this one a lot. This is a head sculpt I like to have on a headstand next to the figure. I think this is a really, really, really cool one. And another thing you get is you get Tina, the face mask here from Tina when Freddy's trying to get into Nancy's house. He like breaks down the little he breaks the window in the door, in her door, and he like comes through and he has this mask on. Very, very cool. Now this mask was able to clip onto that to the head sculpt that I've misplaced, but I think it also clips onto this one. So no, actually it doesn't. It only clips onto that, that one with the one like this that I've misplaced. It only clips onto that. I wonder if it actually would clip onto this one so I can at least show you the way it worked. No, it doesn't want to. It's molded to fit onto that head sculpt, but if you have that one still, you can, put it on there. I don't think it works with this one. Oh, there you go. Well, it kind of works on this one too. It does kind of go on this one too, but yeah, oh, damn it. Okay. But yeah, it actually goes very nicely onto that one that I've misplaced. So if you still have that one, this is a pretty cool accessory. But I actually like to just sit this next to the figure. I actually like to just have him displayed and then have this sitting right next to the figure. I think it actually is a pretty nice little accessory to just have sitting next. It also is a great accessory for your Leatherface figure. Pretty fun little thing to throw next to your Ultimate Leatherface if you want to go that route. The next accessory you get is my absolute favorite accessory you get with this. You get the I'm your boyfriend now Nancy freaking phone here. I can't speak, but yeah, this is an absolutely awesome accessory. I absolutely love this accessory. I really like to have this on the wall. Like I have him, okay, so on my shelf, he stands here, and then the wall is right over here, and I stick this onto the wall with some double-sided tape, and it's just absolutely awesome. I really like this accessory. So yeah, you do get that as well. Super, super cool. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy, and you can see you have the head. You can see the mouth part right there with Freddy's tongue sticking out. Very cool. And then the actual phone part itself. And if you actually were to take off, you can actually kind of move up the wire. You can actually put the phone back on it, and then you can kind of stretch the wire back over it if you want to have that going on. So that's also pretty cool, but I think it looks a little bit cooler just kind of hanging down like that. So very, very cool accessory there as well. And then the last accessory you get with this figure, yeah, that's it. Those are all the accessories. Once again, like I said, weakest Ultimate figure in my opinion, but you also get the you get the hand also from the scene when he's terrorizing Tina in the dream world, where he's like, hey Tina, watch this, and he starts slicing his fingers off. Very, very, very cool hand. I really like this one as well. I like to switch this one out every now and then. It's very cool. I don't really understand why it's like super like dark. I don't know if that was just to replicate the fact that it was very dark in that scene. So his hand does look like this because of how dark it is, but I mean it is kind of weird to me how the hand is like that. I don't really understand that, but yeah, that is also another really cool cool accessory you get there. And you can see the like green blood squirting out right there, which is pretty freaking cool. So those are all the accessories you get with this. I mean, if you want to consider the fedora an accessory, but I never consider it because it's an essential part of Freddy's look. So I never consider that an accessory, just like I don't consider the Jason hockey masks as accessories for the Jason figures. But with that being said, those are all the accessories. That's all everything you get with this figure. And I mean, guys, just to hammer home the fact that I think this is the weakest Ultimate NECA figure, period. I mean, compare that array of accessories with the Ultimate Part 2 or the Ultimate Part 3. Like, it's a straight up ripoff at that point. I mean, these are cool accessories, especially the phone, but I mean, with the Part 2, you get 2 Hellhounds and a huge fire accessory and 2 head sculpts, and with the Part 3, you get interchangeable torso and hands, and you get an alternate head with light piping, and you get the house and the marionette Freddy. You get so much with those other ones. I just never understood why you get very little with this particular figure, which is another reason why it just makes this one not as good in my opinion. So with that being said, let's get in on articulation. So for articulation, you have a peg going into the head sculpt. I just now realized I never showed the figure actually with this on. Let me pop that on real quick. So there he is with that on. I apologize, I didn't show that with that on. We'll put the fedora on there real quick. It doesn't actually, I did notice that this doesn't like to have the fedora on, but yeah. There you go. If anybody was curious, I do apologize for that. I always like to show the head sculpts actually on there. But now, moving on to articulation, like I said, you have a peg going into the skull. You can get some upward like that. You can get a little bit of downward. You can get a decent amount of tilt. Nothing too fantastic. Arms can do a full 360. They can go up that far. Less than 90-degree bend at the elbow right there. You can get a swivel right there as well. Ball joint at the base of the hand, so you can get a little bit of up. We can also just pull it off. Once again, I totally forgot to actually show these on. I'm kind of dropping the ball with this review, aren't I? But yeah, there it is with that. Apologies once again. I always show the interchangeable pieces, but yes, you have a ball joint going into the hand right there. You can get a little bit of down as well, and you can get some swivel, of course. There is a joint in the torso, very little, because the pliable plastic in here is actually quite tight, so you can't really get this one moving all that much. But there is definitely, like, you can definitely feel kind of a cut in the torso here, as you can see there. So you can get a little bit of crunch and a little bit of back. There is a joint in the waist, so you can get some swivel right there. Legs can go forward that far, back that far, actually quite a bit of back. The less than 90-degree bend at the knee, once again, you can get some swivel right there as well. And then the feet are on a ball joint at the base. You can get a little bit of movement, very little ankle pivot, and then you can get a little bit of down, a little bit of up. Obviously, the ball jointed feet never was my favorite design choice, personally. Now for comparison, here he is with the Ultimate Part 2 Freddy Krueger, right there. And here he is with the Ultimate Part 3 Freddy Krueger, and I'm showing all three of these together because I really want to hammer home why I think this middle one is a weaker figure than pretty much all of NECA's other Ultimate figures, because these two figures in particular came with some absolutely phenomenal accessories, and just look at how much brighter the stripes are on these compared to this. Like I said previously, this just looks really bad when you look at it from a distance because you just can't even make out the stripes, and it doesn't help that there's no stripes on the sleeves, so that even detracts from it more. But these just pop, and it makes it so much better in my opinion. These are just light years better than this middle one in my opinion. Like, these are just so much better than this middle one, because I definitely feel that these are way better than the middle one here. But I still like this figure quite a bit. I do think it is still quite a nice figure, but these two are just fantastic in my opinion. I think both of these are much better, much more worth it than the Part 1 here. And here he is with the Wes Craven's New Nightmare Freddy Krueger as well, which you can't really compare these since this is this is going for a very different Freddy Krueger, but I still think that this is also a superior figure because I just think you can make out the details much better. Once again, with the stripes in the shirt, you can really make them out a lot better on this one. And yeah, just overall, I do definitely like this figure more than this one as well. It's just there's so much in this figure that I just wish was a little bit better. I just wish the stripes were brighter. I wish that, obviously, I mean, I can't take take away from the fact that this is the part 1 look and it doesn't have the stripes on the sleeve, but man, it's just, there's so much that I don't like about this figure. And here it is with the NES Freddy Krueger. So you can see how those ones look together. And I'm not particularly fond of this figure very much either. So yeah, I will throw that out there real quick, but we'll get to reviewing this one eventually. Okay, so here he is with his nemesis. This is the part 4 Jason. I will bring in a couple more Jasons in a second here, but I think this is a good one to kind of gauge what you're looking at when it comes to the Freddy vs. Jason scale here. But here it also is with the Freddy vs. Jason Voorhees, which is obviously my favorite Jason Voorhees figure, so there they are together as well. I really do think that this is not a very good companion piece to the Jason figures, though, because of the fact that in Freddy vs. Jason, he had stripes on the sleeves, and the head and the way the makeup is done in that movie is not the way it's done here with like the holes and boils in the skin. It's actually the more wrinkly type look. Although there is a little bit of that in Freddy vs. Jason, it is, but there is still a hint of this in that design, but overall, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to make a more, like Freddy vs. Jason kind of Freddy, popping this head sculpt onto a, onto one of the, onto like the part 2 or the part 3, honestly might even be the best way to go about that at this point in time. I wouldn't do it, obviously, but still. And here he is with the Ultimate Halloween 2 Michael Myers. And we'll just move him off to the side here and bring in the Ultimate Chucky as well, so you can see how he looks with the other iconic slashers right there. If Chucky would stand up. Why are you not standing up all of a sudden? There we go. Come on. Stand up, buddy. There we go. And then one Freddy comparison I actually forgot to show. Here it is with the Toonie Terrors Freddy Krueger right there. And here it is with the next archive review, the Ultimate Leatherface. And one more, here it is with the Ultimate version 2, 1990 Pennywise. Okay, now for our showcase. Alright guys, getting in on my final verdict, and this is by no means a terrible figure. In my opinion, NECA hasn't really put out an Ultimate figure that was really anything worse than good or alright. This is by far the lowest ranking Ultimate figure I own, in my opinion. I've already said numerous times throughout this video why, but really, those things just really stand out for me when it comes to this figure. And when you compare this to the other Ultimate Freddy Krueger figures on the market, and maybe even that Mezco one, I don't even know if that one came out, but it looked really nice. I just don't think there's really any competition with this figure, and this figure has kind of, in my opinion, become a bit obsolete. So, for that reason, my final verdict on this figure is going to be a 6.5 out of 10. I still think this is a nice figure, and it is a great figure of the Part 1 Freddy Krueger, but this is just not a look that I particularly like when it comes to Freddy Krueger's look, and it's also the accessories lack severely in this figure, and they didn't really have a reason to, honestly. There were plenty of accessories NECA could have put in with this figure that would have been very cool. For example, a set of long arms would have been absolutely awesome, and I don't think it would have been difficult at all to include that in. Manufacturing cost should not have been an issue when it came to that, and those could have been some sick accessories. And there were definitely more out there that I just can't think of off the top of my head, but seriously, there are things about this figure that could have been much better, especially like the color of the sweater there, just being so dark and so hard to make out from a distance. It's just things like that that make this figure a little bit less than I would want it to be. So with that being said, everybody, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more NECA content. Once again, reiterate, the next Ultimate Archive review will be the Ultimate Leatherface. And with that being said, this is DK Guillotine, signing out.